Most important points that I want to make today is that parents can actually have a huge impact. So research shows that just by talking to your kids regularly about the dangers of drugs, you can reduce their chances of using them by 42%. So, I mean, if you think about that, you can almost cut your kids' chance of using in half just by starting these conversations at an early age and keeping that line of communication open and just regularly talking about the dangers of substance use. The unfortunate news is that I think a lot of parents don't realize how important it is to keep this conversation going. And so only 1 in 4 teens actually reports ever having these conversations with their parents, which leaves 75% of kids to get their information from other sources, whether that be the kid on the bus that's trying to sell them a vape, or Google, which we know can often provide a lot of incorrect information. So it's super important for parents to be giving their kids the correct information and for parents to educate themselves so that they have the information that their kids are looking to understand. Some interesting facts. So 2/3 of youth say that losing their parents' respect and pride is one of the main reasons that they don't use drugs. And I think that that is a really encouraging statistic, because it shows that despite what kids might say, they do actually want their parents to be proud of them, and that weighs on them when they're in the decision-making process. So letting your kids know where you stand on drugs and alcohol and setting a good example as well at home is very important. Another interesting fact is that by 3rd and 4th grade, kids are already starting to set expectations about whether or not they'll drink as they get older or not. And as you think about that, 3rd and 4th grade, I mean, that's 8, 9 years old. And I think a lot of parents definitely shy away from or think it's just not necessary to even start the conversations about drugs and alcohol at such a young age because they think that their kids aren't being exposed to anything at that young age. But I'd like to look at a few things that I think we see all the time. You know, this t-shirt on the left was something I just walked by when I was at Target with my 9-year-old daughter around Mother's Day. And it was right at the front of Target as you walk in. And I looked at it and I thought, as a mom, I just looked at it and kind of chuckled. But as a 9-year-old girl looking at that t-shirt, if I don't say anything about it and we just walk on by, what kind of message is she taking away from that? And I think the message that she would take away from it is that to be a good mom, you need to love, you need to drink coffee and wine. And that's not the kind of message that we want our kids to be growing up with. So even when you walk by something like this in Target, that's like the perfect opportunity to start a conversation with your kids, and let them talk too. We don't have to be just lecturing them on, oh, that t-shirt shouldn't, be there or whatever, but more of how does that make you feel? What do you think when you read that t-shirt? And just opening up those conversations so that they can be had. Obviously, the rosé all day is pretty much everywhere. But again, what kind of message does that send to a younger kid? And then the legalization of marijuana across the country, I think is very confusing to kids and teenagers and even adults. And just because something's being legalized doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe, especially, where it is being legalized, there's still a legal age of 21 for the reason that introducing a substance like marijuana or alcohol or any substance into a teenage brain that's not fully developed can have very long-term effects in terms of addiction.